Hello, I'm Paul Watson from Fox Valley Orthodontic Laboratory. We've been in business since 2003. I'm here today with the new Yates Motloid Ortho Welder 2. We're going to show you a few basic features and functions of it. So first we'd like to show you a few spot welding techniques to temporarily tack weld pieces together so you can then securely solder them later, not having to use waxes or putties or other things that will get into the weld, pollute the weld, or make it more difficult to position the pieces accurately while fabricating your appliances. I'm going to use an alligator clip on the electrode or on the lead, and we're just going to attach this to the buckle attachment on the band. This way my hand is free to position the piece and I don't have to try to operate it more difficultly. When doing remote welding, you want to make absolutely certain that when you're using the leads that the jaws are not touching. If these are touching in that manner, you will not get an accurate weld at this location. I'm going to position my contacts touching and just lightly touch the foot switch. As you can see, that securely positioned my wires so I can go to the soldering bench and use flame and solder to braze those together permanently. And as you can see, that securely attached that piece together. Here we're set up with alligator clips on both the remote leads to leave myself completely hands-free in order to accurately position a third piece on this appliance. And once I have it set, I just hit the remote switch, and this where you have multiple points of contact, you will need to turn your timer up slightly to account for soldering at 4 joints at one time instead of just a single joint. This is going to be combination welding with using one jaw and one lead. This is again another technique in order to free up a hand so you're not trying to hold multiple things with your 2 hands. So I can touch the buckle side using the built-in contact along with the remote lead to make your spot weld or your tack weld. Keeping the jaws from touching each other, I touch the piece to one of the contacts built in and use the remote lead to touch the other side. When I fire, if you are doing heavier materials, you can turn that timer up. If you are using lighter materials, you're going to want to keep that timer as low as possible. If you don't feel the need to use the remote leads to position your piece, you can just go straight into the jaws with the 2 pieces for a permanent weld and come to the jaws and get a permanent weld. To show how firm that weld is, we'll try to tear it apart. As you can see, I'm destroying parts of this attachment, but not breaking the weld itself. And get your permanent weld in that manner. To anneal a wire, you want to make sure that the jaws are not touching. When we then anneal it, it resets that wire to that new shape and gives it the tension from that point rather than from the original straight point of the wire. Attach your wire to the 2 top leads in the shape you want. Making sure it's in the desired shape. And then use the manual control to fire the switch until it just glows red and release. Loosen the leads and remove it with tweezers or an instrument because it is quite hot and it now retains the shape that you had set it to. You have a quick setup reference chart. What this does is takes you through each of the positions and switches on the machine and tells you exactly what position to have them in, whether you are welding, soldering, or annealing. Also in the manual, you have a material, timing, power setting, and notes chart where you can fill this in with the materials that you use most often. More than a decade of experience with the original Yates Motloid Ortho Welder, and now having several months experience with the new Ortho Welder 2, I can completely and honestly recommend it to anybody, whether a practice who's looking to do some quick repairs or welding attachments to various bands, to a lab who needs a multi-function welder to do most of the welding and soldering. If you're looking for a multi-function welder, the Yates Motloid Ortho Welder 2 certainly fits the bill.